Farm attacks in South Africa are often framed as racially motivated massacres. But what if the real killers weren't strangers, but the very people the victims trusted? This is the story of 5 brutal murders once labeled farm attacks, but in truth they were acts of betrayal, family conspiracies, and carefully staged deception. Since 1994, more than 13,000 farm attacks have taken place in South Africa. Around 2,000 of the victims were white commercial farmers. But here's the truth. Black farm workers and rural families are also frequent targets. These attacks aren't always about race, they're often about opportunity. Still, a powerful myth persists: the idea of a white genocide. This narrative, pushed by groups like AfriForum, Red October, and amplified by foreign voices like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, claims white farmers are being exterminated. In 2018, then President Donald Trump tweeted that he had asked his Secretary of State to closely study the South Africa land and farm seizures and expropriations and the large-scale killing of farmers. The tweet followed a Fox News segment that repeated unverified claims of white genocide.
Investigation for you tonight. The president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has begun, and you may have seen this in the press, seizing land from his own citizens without compensation because they are the wrong skin color. That is literally the definition of racism. Racism is what our elites say they dislike most. Donald Trump.
Shortly after, his administration began exploring special refugee channels for white South African farmers, based on claims of racial persecution. Then, in 2025, after returning to political prominence, Trump reignited this narrative. He formally supported policies that would allow white South African farmers to immigrate to the United States under a revised refugee and resettlement program. In his speeches, he referred to them as hard-working, Christian people under threat, and framed their acceptance as a humanitarian duty. But multiple investigations by journalists, academics, and even the South African police have debunked the genocide narrative. The truth is darker and closer to home than most expect.
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
At number 5, we have Theonette and Johann Smith. 57-year-old Theonette Smith was a mother, a wife, and a member of a close-knit farm community. On October 13th, her half-naked body was discovered dumped by the railway tracks, an image both chilling and confusing, suggesting staging or post-mortem manipulation. Her husband, Johann Smith, then 55, was a mathematics teacher at a local primary school near Brits, known for his quiet demeanor. He'd shared a steady farm life with his wife until that fateful weekend. The 12th of October, 2024, Saturday evening. Domestic argument reportedly occurred. Theonette left the farmhouse. Johann later reported her missing, claimed she walked off after the argument. The 13th of October, 2024, early morning. Johann calls police and hires private search security. Near the same time, Theonette's body is found beside the tracks. Johann is at the police station reporting her missing. As the investigation begins to unfold, and once the body was found, Johann accompanies officers to identify the body. While investigators try to look for clues at the farmhouse, large blood pool is found. Cleaning signs pointing to murder in the home, followed by staging the crime as a missing person. Johann is arrested within hours, charged with murder and obstructing justice. On the 8th of November 2024, the case reached Brits Magistrates Court. Johan appeared before Magistrate Reagan Rosenberg seeking bail, but his bid was denied. Magistrates cited flight risk, tampering potential, evidence of obstruction reporting Theonet missing knowing she was dead. Johan was suspended from his teaching post, remains in custody awaiting trial. So what's the truth? Farm attacks are a serious concern, especially in remote areas. But the overwhelming evidence shows they are not part of an orchestrated campaign against a racial group. South African police reports. Majority of attacks affect black farm workers, not white owners. Presidential and policing statements call the genocide accusation totally unfounded. Experts note that while cross-planted memorials are powerful symbols, they are protests, not evidence of genocide. Back in the farmyard, the Johan Smith murder case remains tightly enclosed in legal uncertainty. As forensic tests, witness statements, and autopsy reports probe deeper, the small agricultural community of Brits anxiously awaits justice. Johan remains in custody. Trial date still pending. Autopsy and blood analysis expected to provide clarity on motive, time frame, and cause of death. Community grapples with grief, fear, and a broader national conversation about violence, race, and land in South Africa. At number 4, we have Zarina Smit and Stefan Smit. Stellenbosch, June 2019. Wealthy wine farmer Stefan Smit is murdered in his home. 4 masked gunmen enter during dinner and shoot him dead. Another farm attack. That's what it looked like. But investigators soon uncover a twist. His wife, Zarina Smit, is accused of plotting his death to claim his estate. She allegedly forged his will, stole her $235,000 in valuables, and hired a hitman, a former cop named Bradley Van Aisland. He later confessed, saying Zarina told them not to shoot Stefan in the head because of a metal plate. The civil court later disinherited her, citing the bloodied hand cannot inherit principle. Zarina is now awaiting trial for murder and fraud. What was framed as a brutal farm attack was really a cold financial conspiracy. At number 3, we got Adam Lucas Van Staden and Johan Pretorius. In June 2019, Johan Pretorius was found beaten to death with a pickaxe handle. He was white. The location was rural. Headlines quickly claimed, another farm murder. Some even whispered, race war. But the killer was no stranger. It was Johan's close friend, Adam Lucas Van Staden. The motive? A bitter feud over money? Van Staden claimed Johan stole his cattle. An argument turned into rage, and then into murder. Van Staden didn't flee, surrendered himself to police in Nigel, admitting the crime. He denied any racial motive. The real story? Not genocide, not racial hatred, just anger between 2 men who once called each other brothers. At number 2, we got Raymond Papapavlou and Patricia Ray Lee Smith. October 4th, 2020. A farmer named Raymond Papapavlou is shot dead while sleeping at his home near Groblersdal. The media calls it a farm attack, but within days, investigators find something chilling. His wife Simone and her secret partner Patricia Ray Lee Smith allegedly orchestrated the murder. The motive? Love and control. They had been together for years, and they wanted Raymond out of the way. Simone tried to poison Raymond earlier that year. When that failed, she allegedly contacted her father in prison, using WhatsApp to plan the murder with Patricia. They paid 20,000 Rand through ShopRite money, market to hire the killer. They even discussed buying bulletproof vests. Today, Simone and Patricia are behind bars awaiting trial. What was once seen as a racial killing was actually a love triangle gone fatal. At number 1, we have Anel de Bruyne and Johan. On January 9, 2025, 46-year-old Anel de Bruyne was arrested at her Eastern Cape farm near Aliwell North, accused of orchestrating the murder of her husband. Through a staged farm at a Castorisk, prosecutors alleged she hired hitmen. Via a middleman, who later informed police paid a deposit and laid plans for a violent scene, her husband, the family dogs, and the vehicle tires were all to be shot to simulate a brutal overnight ambush. She told them to shoot her husband, then shoot the family's dogs and vehicle tires to make it look like a farm attack, said NPA's Luxolo Tiali. Investigators noted she even timed the expected response of neighboring farmers. Stood to gain more than 50 million rands in insurance and inheritance money. Johan, their spouse of 15 years, reportedly denied any marital issues. He was as baffled as anyone else. Charged with conspiracy to commit murder, she was released on 2,000 rand bail on January 17th, with strict conditions, no return to the farm and supervised visits with her children. Her case was postponed to April 23, 2025, while authorities gathered cell phone data, photo albums, witness statements, and other crucial evidence. This case wasn't unique. A Sunday World investigation revealed at least 8 other Afrikaner farmers killed by family or relatives later, falsely passed off as farm attacks. At least 8 more white Afrikaner farmers were murdered by family members who went on to pass the deaths off as farm attacks. These crimes exploit the visceral imagery of farm attacks, leveraging public empathy, flaming political sentiment, and manipulating media coverage. When fabricated narratives emerge, they distort the public's understanding of real crime. Genuine victims risk being dismissed or overshadowed by sensational claims. Politically, they risk fueling extremist ideologies, amplifying white genocide, conspiracy theories, and empowering vigilante sentiment, like the Sootlanders touring internationally with this message. Media have a duty to dig deeper, not merely report, but verify. In Anel's case, the middleman turned informant. Recorded phone calls and detailed timing notes were what unraveled the deception. The Anel de Bruyne case reminds us, while farm attacks do happen, and often brutally, all claims deserve thorough scrutiny. Some tragedies are real, theirs are fabricated by those closest to the victim. We must protect truth, support genuine victims, and demand accountability from media, political actors, and the justice system. If this story resonated, subscribe, share, and explore our playlist on South African crime and justice. Thank you for watching.